Yes, everybody, welcome down to the channel. Thank you for checking me out. My name is Andy Carter, and today's video we're talking about 3 things we do not want to see in the backswing. So I'm also going to give you the 3 corrections that we do want to see in the backswing. Massively important for every single part of the game, whether it's going to be a 30-40 yard pitch shot all the way up to the driver. Don't forget, a pitch is a smaller version of your full swing, so the movements and the mechanics are going to be very, very similar, obviously with a couple of different setup changes, but we'll come on to that in future videos. All right, so first up, number 1 is in the takeaway, and it's the movement of your hands during this takeaway. I see too many golfers kind of pan the face open as they start to rotate. Everybody knows that the shoulders and the hips are going to turn into the backswing. However, the forearms and the wrists also don't want to be rotating. They want to work together with the shoulders and the hips, but not on their own path. Far too often I will see golfers working the club face open like this. So for right-handed golfers, if we get the club there, toe the club up is the maximum it should be rotating. As we go anywhere here, the wrists have started to open. Also, if the shoulders also start to rotate and the forearms rotate, this lead shoulder then starts to stand up. So this position on the takeaway is an absolute no-no for the rest of the backswing. We can't get the club back on plane, we can't control the club face, and therefore we're going to be very, very inconsistent with the outcome of the shots. So what we're going to be looking at doing today, rather than allowing the club face to pan open and the forearms to rotate and the lead shoulder to get higher than the trail shoulder, we're going to be trying to make sure we maintain this triangle between the shoulders and the hands and just taking the club away. And the way I like to look at this is actually keeping the club face pointing at the ball, okay? So that's what I like to see. I like to see the club face pointing back down to the golf ball on the takeaway. So that's your first kind of do and don't, or don't and do in that order. Making sure the club face points back down to the golf ball, so we've got full control of the rotation of the body and also full control of the club face. Now that kind of brings me nicely, talking about the angle of the shoulders, it brings me nicely into do not number 2. And do not number 2 is losing spine angle. Hate to see this sort of movement. Golfers that want to swing the club faster, longer and create more power generally start to straighten up the spine angle. Again, lead shoulder gets higher than the trail shoulder. So even with a nice takeaway, we can still kind of get up to this position. And this is a common one. Coming out of the posture, hips pushing forwards towards the golf ball, and the spine angle just kind of straightening up. The most common downswing fault from there is then that kind of more chopping action on the way back down as the body tries to go back into posture for the downswing. So what we're going to be looking at here, we're going to get a takeaway. We don't want to let the body stand up. We're going to make sure that we continue to rotate the lead shoulder down as the arms go up. So great little drill. Left shoulder working down towards the golf ball, trail shoulder going up behind the head, and we've got lots of height now in the backswing. We've got control of the club face, and we've got a nice upper body tilt still with the spine, and a nice shoulder tilt over the top of the golf ball. What we've also done is we've kept the hips back, so you really want to keep your butt back as you start to rotate. We never want to kind of push that in. So do's and don'ts number 2 is the control of your spine angle as you get to the top of the backswing, and that again leads nicely onto do and don't number 3, and that is club face position at the top of the backswing. A lot of golfers want to try and add more distance, they want to add length to the swing, they want to add speed, and with that becomes manipulation. So most golfers, me included, in terms of length of swing, I stop around about here or so. So my flexibility doesn't allow me to go that much further. But most golfers mentally want to go further to create more power. It makes perfect sense. However, when they do that, they get to a certain point where the body doesn't allow them and they start to hit their body's limitations. And what happens is this lead wrist starts to cup. So the knuckles come towards the forearm. The club face rotates, which means the left elbow bends, or the lead elbow bends, and it gets up high here. So we start to go into that position now. So you look at the club position, there's lots of length in the swing, but I've had to manipulate the club face position and the left elbow position. Therefore, I've weakened the club face, and I'm actually going to create now a lot less power because on the way down, the club face is wide open, and I have to manipulate the hands to square up, which is going to lose me power. The fix for this, okay, so we're going to build that backswing again. They've got the club face to the ball. We're going to rotate and stay in the posture. And we're going to stop at the top of the backswing. We're going to be looking at that lead wrist to stay relatively straight to the forearm. Now, it does depend on where your grip is. If you've got a strong grip, there will be a bit of a cup. So the best way to look at this is your club face position. You never want to see the club face in that position there, pointing straight across. You generally want to see the club face pointing a little bit more up to the sky. When it does so, it means it's in a more neutral position, it's a stronger position, and therefore you're able to come back down with the club more on plane and more neutral to the ball as well as you're about to strike it. That is massively important there in do and don't number 3. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this tip. Massively important 3-step part to get to the top of the backswing, to give you better shots, to give you better ball striking, and hopefully lower scores. That's exactly what we want to be trying to do in golf, isn't it? Guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please hit that subscribe button. Follow me on my social media platforms. Lots of golf tips going on my Facebook page as well, Carter's Golf. But for today, from a glorious Al Zora Golf Club here in Dubai, see you in a bit.